Hi everyone, this is Shalon with Bible Journaling Ministries Creative Team, and today I want to show you how you can use pressed flowers, Elmer's glue, clear gesso, and the Prep for Jesus illustration. So if you're ready, let's get started. Okay, so we are going to be using the Prepping for Jesus digital stamp PDF file, and I have printed this on cardstock. I am going to use my colored pencils and markers, but I want to show you how you can use clear gesso and my paintbrush to spread my gesso, but pressed flowers. And I don't know if you can see in her hair, there are different leaves and things like that, but we are going to be using pressed flowers to add to this beautiful image. And I got these off of Amazon, and they did come with a set of tweezers to be able to use. I'm not going to open my tweezers only because I have several sets here on my desk. So I'm just going to leave these packaged up and put away. But I am going to show you how you can use pressed flowers to add dimension and some life and some natural colors and natural elements into your journaling. Now I am probably going to put this into just my journal, my empty journal. I think I'm going to fussy cut around her once I get her colored and all of the elements that I want added into her hair. And I may even add some more just to add some more dimension and color. But I am going to start off by just coloring this image. And I'm not going to make you watch me color the whole thing. I will speed up the video, and once I am finished, I will come back and we will begin adding these beautiful natural elements into her hair. Okay? Okay, so I have my girl colored, and I went ahead and I opened all of my flower packages. As you can see, I've got the green laid out here. I was trying to find which leaves and stems really went best with what she has on her. Now, as you can see, I did not color in her chef hat and her chef coat because those are normally white, and so I just left those as I did print this on white cardstock. I just left those alone. And if you also notice, I colored these stems and leaves just in case my pressed flowers don't cover it all. At least I don't have any white space. So I'm not sure yet which flowers I'm going to use in her hair here, but I have chosen some leaves that kind of look like is in her hair here, and then up here as well, kind of this palm leaf. And then I took, this was one stem, and I just very gently pulled it apart so that I can put that here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just using the lid of my gesso because I have plenty of gesso there, and a small brush, and I'm just going to apply my gesso onto my page. I used regular colored pencils. I chose not to use markers because they're water-based, and with this being a wet medium, I did not want to smear those colors. What I have noticed with colored pencils, even if they're not watercolor pencils, this will pick up some of the gesso will pick up some of the color, and but that's okay. It's not a lot. So I've gessoed just the area of the leaves. I'm going to take this stem here and just lay it down where I just gessoed very gently. And I'm going to continue on, and I'm going to do the same thing here. And because this is clear gesso, I'm not being too careful with being exact inside of the lines because it is clear. However, it is picking up some of the color, so I do want to be a little bit careful so as not to mix my colors, especially on her face or her hat. Now I am going to use my tweezers and pick this piece up just to place it down where I want it. And then I'm just going to take my fingers. Now, it's bigger than where my colored area is, so I'm just going to take my gesso and go over the top of it, but I'm going to go the direction that the leaves are. So that's just the top portion where I could go ahead and seal it in all the way. I would rather let that dry a little bit. So I'm going to come down here into this little jar and do the same thing again with gesso. Just a thin layer where I've colored the green. And then for this, I am going to use my tweezers again and just pick this up. And lay this in here. Now I may have to come over with some more gesso. Just to make sure that it does adhere. And I'm kind of coming out of the jar a little bit with it. I'm okay with that. I'm just using my gesso as kind of a glue there. And because I am layering them, they do kind of move a little bit. I mean, it is wet. And so this is kind of acting as a sealant as I'm going on and as I layer these. So I'm just going to leave that alone because it is moving. Okay, so I'm going to come back and I'm going to gesso over top of this just so it's sealed on there good. Concentrating on the edges especially because again this one was bigger than my colored area, so some of the edges did not get gesso under them. As you can see, this one is moving. I'm just going over this very well. I'm going to come back up here, and I'm going the direction of the leaves on this particular one. It's just a fun way not only to use these images in your journaling, but to add some real elements from nature into your journaling as well. So I'm going to move my green stuff out of the way. And then I'm going to decide as you can see, when I took them out of the pack, some of the leaves came off of some of those stems. I am going to save those because I could use those using my tweezers. Now I want to put some flowers on, and I think what I have decided to use, I think I'm going to use these little orange, what looks like poppies to me. So I'm going to pull these out of the package, and they do have a plastic piece over the top of them. For some reason, my green, it was on the bottom. It wasn't on the top. So I'm going to be very careful when I pull this up. And again, these are very delicate pieces. Okay, so I'm going to choose these little orange stems. And if you can see, they're little bitty flowers, but what I'm going to do is actually use them individually. So I'm going to take these, cut them off. Like that. Okay, I'm just going to lay these up here where I can get to them. Let's see how they're going to lay there. Oh, just perfectly. And I can even keep the little stem on them. I need some larger ones, so I'm going to cut some of these larger ones to use. Okay. I should have enough now. And if I wanted to add a couple around where I've got the white space, that would be okay too. But I am going to start at the bottom with these and layer them . So I'm just going to do one little flower place at a time. So I have added those little flowers, one thin layer of gesso to adhere them. And now I'm going to go back with gesso again to seal those on. Using pressed flowers in your journaling, especially if you have a page like this, is so easy, and it just adds just a piece of nature in to your journaling. So I'm going to let that dry, and I will be right back. I'm going to clean up my mess here, let that dry very good, and then we're going to come back in and I'm going to fussy cut around her and show you how I would use her. I'm going to use her in my journal. Let me show you my journal really quickly. Let me move her out of the way since she's wet. I'll let her dry. So this is my journal that I use when I want to use these stamps and things. It's just paper, worn paper. It's leather, and then it has the elastic closure. So this is what I'm going to use to put my prepping for Jesus illustration in there. So I will be back just as soon as this is dry, and we will carry on. Okay, so she's dry. I went ahead and fussy cut around her. Now these smaller areas that had the white in them, I took my little embroidery scissors, and I'm going to show you how these are so good to have for little spaces if you're wanting to fussy cut. And my page is white, so it really doesn't matter, but if you can see, that little piece just came right out. And now and I could come back and do this little piece on her hair here. Sometimes even with these tiny scissors, it's a little difficult. And you get these little, oh, but I got it off. Okay. All right. So I am just going to glue her down. I'm going to put her at kind of the top of my page, and then I'm just going to hand letter prep for Jesus here. And I'm just going to use a regular glue stick. Actually, I can't find my glue stick, so I'm just going to use Elmer's school glue. You could use double-sided tape. You could even use the double-sided dots. And I'm just going to outline her. Just a couple of little dots on some of these hair pieces. Don't want her to come up. And here at the bottom. And because I just did around the outside, I'm just going to lightly press her down. She still has dimension because I didn't, she's still kind of coming up on the page here, and that's okay. Again, this is just my art journal. Let me see those. So now I'm just going to take my Tombow brush pen. Now I also have this Mono Twin, and it's a Tombow as well, but it had, and it's double-sided. It has different nib sizes. So I think what I'm going to do is just make me some block letters. Then I'm going to take my brush pen Now, if I wanted to, I could come back with this and add some of these flowers, these other flowers that I had just around her, but I really like how this turned out. It's very simple. It was a very fun technique. If you enjoyed this, give us a thumbs up. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. But I hope that you have enjoyed this and play with natural elements that we find outside. If you have a favorite flower from your garden, press it into, use some wax paper and press it into a big book and leave it there until it dries and it's pressed, and then you can add those things into your journaling. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and until next time, may God bless you and keep you always. Bye.